Greetings, everyone. In September of 2016, Realtrac released version 10.8 of our client software. 10.8 is a big release our team has been working on for over 6 months, featuring a bunch of cool new features that our users have been asking us for. In this video, we're going to discuss the new serialization options that users now have in version 10.8. Before we dive in and show off the process, let's do a quick overview of our serialization features. Within our system group, we allow our users to set a generic template for how you want your serial numbers to look. In addition to generating a variable length serial number, Realtrac will also let you define a prefix and a suffix associated with the serial numbers. Users are able to choose on a job-by-job basis whether the part they are building should be serialized. In addition, users are now able to manage their inventory based upon serial numbers. We'll take a look at all these features and more. Let's dive on in. Our first stop in setting up our serialization is to hop into the System group and head over to the System Settings tab. You'll note within this interface here in the lower left, we've got a button labeled Serial Number Template. This is where we're going to set up the pattern we want our serial numbers to follow. We are able to adjust this default on a job-by-job basis, but each time we choose to serialize our parts, this will be the default template that Realtrac will suggest. Let's click on this button and take a look-see at our setup. We can see we get a warning telling us that if we change our established pattern, our new serial numbers may not match those that we previously issued. It's good to know. Let's move on. You can see our template is broken into a prefix, a serial number, and a suffix. Along the bottom here, we have the option to prepend a job number and/or part information to our serial numbers as well. In the simplest of configurations, you may wish to simply enable a few digit-long serial number and call it a day. You'll notice I am able to click on each of those locations and change between a simple digit and/or a digit and characters. Let's take a look at the options I have. If we focus in on this very first location, we can see right now the system is telling us that it will always choose a number between 0 and 9. The system will automatically take care of incrementing those as needed. But you can see if I click on this location, the system changes now, and it will also use letter characters. The very first serial number will contain the letter A in this location, and the system will automatically increment through the letters exactly the same as it does for digits. So in the setup we see here, our first serial number will be A000, followed by A001, A002, etc. If we click the location again, we see an option called Fixed. In this case, if we wanted the first character of our serial number to always be a specific letter or character, we could select this fixed option, then click on the little square below to assign a specific fixed character that we want. So let's say I always want the first letter to be an R. I would choose it, and now we can make our serial number that would be R, an automatically incrementing set of digits. Note as we make these changes, the preview window below is giving us a preview of what the serial number will look like when we accept it. Clicking on this location again, you'll see the last option, a combination of numbers followed by letters. In this case, our first serial number will be 0000 as we see, but as soon as we reach the serial number 9999, the next serial number will be A000, and the serial numbers will continue incrementing from there. All right, let's set our serial number quite simply. We're going to just build a 4-digit long serial number that is only going to carry digits. In addition to our serial number, you can see we can also choose to add a prefix or suffix information. Each of these values can be manipulated in the same manner as our main serial number, leading to a wide variety of options for setting your initial template up. In addition to the serial number, some of our users may wish to prepend the job number and/or the part number as a part of the serial number as well. As we can see in the preview window, if we choose to prepend the job number, we see the job number prepended to the serial number content, just what we would expect. We'd encourage you to watch the remaining video to see the serial numbers in action. Get your hands on a working system and play around for a little bit before making a plan about how you wish to roll your serial numbers out within your Realtrac system. In order to get consistency in your serial numbers for years to come, it's important to set up a template that is both easy to use as well as flexible for your production for years to come. Okay, so we've set up our template for how we want our serial numbers to look. For fun, let's make a new part and start 2 jobs producing that part. In each job, we'll define the serial number range that the job is going to produce, and we can watch what happens as we produce the parts and the parts get transferred into the Realtrac inventory. We're going to take a minute here to build our new job. As I build the job, you'll note I'm going to attach a brand new part to the job, creating it here in our part editor. After I build the part and get the basic job information, bear with me for a second as I build a simple router up. I'll be right back. Okay, before I launch this job out onto my floor, I'm going to set the serial number range for the units this job is going to produce. Now to review, in the system group earlier, we built a template for all of our serial numbers, telling Realtrac how many digits and in what format it should generate those serial numbers. Now that we have this template set up, we want to set the specific ranges on this specific job. In order to set the range, we're going to click on the Set Serial Number Range button here on the main job entry form, and then click on the Generate Serial Number button. All right, this beginning number section shows us the serial number the first part produced by this job will be assigned. You can think of this as a sanity check to compare what you're expecting to what the actual results are. You can see the format of this number falls in line with what we had set up in the system group, meaning in this specific case for our company, we've chosen to do serial numbers with 4 digits. The system also tells us the expected quantity that we are going to produce, along with an indicator of what the final serial number that this job will be expected to produce. Typically, we're going to be satisfied with these results. Realtrac uses the job's quantity to manufacture value to automatically calculate how many serial numbers this job is expected to claim. If we expect this job is going to produce more parts than the quantity to manufacture, we do have the option of going ahead and claiming a wider range of serial numbers from our serial number pool. We can override the defaults by either changing the quantity number or adjusting the final number in the serial number series. Okay, I'm ready to launch this job out onto my floor now. Just for fun, I'll have some people sign into some operations and we can imagine them getting to work producing my new widgets. All right, let's duplicate this job and see what happens on our new job with our serial number range. Since we're making even more parts here for this second job, it's going to need a new batch of serial numbers, right? Let's see how Realtrac reacts. After I duplicate the job, I'm going to set my quantity to manufacture for this run. I'll change up the quantity compared to the other job just to make our lots differ in an obvious manner when we check them out in our inventory. With my new quantity to manufacture set, let's click on our Set Serial Number Range button and see what Realtrac is thinking in regards to our serial numbers. Okay, we can see here that Realtrac knows I'm building 20 pieces in this new job. I'm going to click in the Beginning Number Edit field and set our starting serial number to 10, since our last job consumed the numbers 0 through 9. The system will automatically adjust our ending number to let us know the range of serial numbers we're going to consume with this lot that we produce. Let's review where we're at and how we got here. We initially went into our system group, popped over to the System Settings tab, and set up the template for our serial number. We then created 2 new jobs for a brand new part, and we set up the serial number ranges for those parts that the jobs will be creating. Our next step is to let our employees work on these jobs and get them to the point where the pieces are nearing completion. We'll see what happens in our inventory. Through the power of movie editing magic, let's transport into the future where our parts are nearing completion. Well, I hope you're well rested and hydrated after our quick trip here into the future. As you can see looking over the routers for our jobs, we've completed most of the operations. We've got some folks logged into the router operations that are going to create our Realtrac inventory. As always, our little sigma symbol here on the router indicates that this is the magical router line that creates our inventory. If we take a look at our shop floor interface, we'll see we have employees logged in completing the pieces for both of the. Alright, so let's log out our employee that's finishing the pieces for our first job. This job had our initial serial number setting, so we want to make sure that the inventory associated with it gets the appropriate serial numbers. We log out, tally our good and scrap pieces, and decide to mark the router operations as being closed. During the logout process, the Realtrac Performance ERP system is automatically generating our inventory in the background. If we now take a moment and visit back into our inventory, we can search for our part and see that we have good pieces in inventory. Alright, good news is we do have our parts. If we scroll over, we can see we've added a new column titled Serial Number Range. We can see that this lot of parts has been stamped with a serial number that I assigned to my initial job. In addition, we can double click on this specific inventory line and see within the Adjust Inventory interface, we also include information on the serial number range associated with the parts. Alright, let's finish the floor operations on our second job, and we'll see what happens when another lot of goods enters into our inventory. We're going to pop over to our shop floor interface and complete our operation. Once again, we'll input our pieces complete. Thankfully, once again, we're happily scrap free and close out of our operation. I should note it isn't necessary to close the operation for the materials to enter inventory, nor for any of the functions related to the serial numbers. Let's pop back over to our inventory and check out the results. Alright, now when we open our inventory and look for our part, as expected, we'll see two lots in the inventory. Scrolling back over to the right and to our serial number column, we can see that Realtrac knows and has handled the separation of our serial numbers properly. The serial number allotments used for each individual job has been assigned to the lots. Pretty cool stuff. Alright, so that's taken us from the initial setup to setting up jobs for the serial number ranges all the way through inventory. Let's see what happens when we go to invoice for these parts and need to transmit the serial number information to our customers on the invoice and or the packing list. Alright, so I've produced the parts with serial numbers and I have them sitting in my Realtrac inventory. We're going to presume I've got a customer that needs this information on the invoices and or packing lists that I submit to them. We've updated our reports to include the serial number as an available field. That said, we decided not to add them by default to the report. So the first step any customer that needs serial number on the reports to do is to customize the reports to include this information. So let's run through that step really quickly before continuing. Let's say my customer is asking for the serial number information on a packing list. Let me travel to my job that produced the parts, head over to the Invoice tab. Before I get an opportunity to customize a report, I'll generate a new invoice. No harm there since I'm on my way to invoicing the customer. Alright, let's click on the Reports button, select the Packing List report, and choose to customize it. I'll name it something catchy like Packing List with Serial Number, and we'll see our report customization tool come up to the forefront. Taking a look at the body of the report, we can note that our table has 4 columns: quantity ordered, back order, quantity shipped, and our description column. Once we run this report, the table will have a row for each line on our invoice. Let's say we decided that we're going to add a new line to the bottom of our description field that will contain the serial number information. Within this Data Line tab, I'm going to double click on the last entry in the list, which corresponds to the 4th field in my report, which is the description field. The contents of this lower portion show us the fields that we're already adding to the description field. This may look a little intimidating at first, but follow along for a second as we add the serial number. First, I'm going to click on the lower portion and choose where I want to add the serial number. I could add it to the top, middle, or bottom of the description field. We'll keep it simple and I'll add it right to the bottom. I click and position my cursor. Since I want to make this look orderly, I'm going to tell the report to add a carriage return after my bill comments. So I first click over to the Text tab and click on this little line feed button and click Insert. You'll see the system adds this funny little character called a pilcrow to the bottom, which is a symbol to tell the system that we want a new line. Next, I want to add a little label to the data we're about to add, so I'll add quote serial number quote to the report. Lastly, we click over to the Data and Functions tab and double-click on our serial number data field. Just like that, we've added a serial number information to the packing list report. We can back out and save our customer report, and we'll try it in a few seconds. Okay, so now we have a packing list report with our serial number on it. Let's prepare our invoice and packing list. We're going to double check the invoice and then pull our parts from inventory. Since the quantity to ship is what I'm looking for, I'm going to choose to click the Commit Inventory button, which is going to pull the units from my Realtrac inventory. With that process squared away, I now want to make sure that the serial numbers for my shipment have followed along, tied to these specific units that I'm shipping on this specific invoice and packing list. Let's preview that sweet new customized packing list report that we just made and make sure our serial number information has traveled over when I committed the items and moved them from our inventory. Alright, we can see our serial numbers are appearing on the report. The data will show the serial number range along with the total number of serial numbered units that we are shipping in the lot. Alright folks, we've run the gamut. We set up our system, we made some new parts, we time traveled, we checked out our inventory, we invoiced and shipped some serialized parts to our customer. Thanks a bunch for your time and interest. As always, this feature was born from feedback and the needs of our customers. Please don't be shy in reaching out to your Realtrac sales rep. Let them know what's going on in your business and how Realtrac can help you win the business race. Thanks a bunch.